All right, so we have a very important and relevant topic up for discussion today. And it is basically this idea that oftentimes when people adopt very extreme lifestyles or belief systems or diets or exercise programs or extreme lifestyles of different shapes and sizes, when these things are adopted, people think, oh my God, I'm just feeling so blissed out, I'm feeling so good, I'm feeling so harmonious. But what we're going to understand and learn about in this video is that in actuality, what is happening is just stress or depletion. And what people are confusing as feeling really good, feeling really great, it's actually just adrenaline and stress hormones being released in the body to try to maintain some amount of homeostasis. Or in other words, their chi is basically being depleted, so they are tapping into their Jing energy reserves, and their kidneys are just trying to keep things going on, which is probably only going to lead to stress and depletion in the long term. So that's what we mean by stress and depletion, or bliss in harmony. So oftentimes these things are imbalanced because really the balance of yin and yang is just not even considered, not even thought about, doesn't even register. And then we talk about these extreme diets and lifestyles or exercise programs. Well, what do we mean? Well, this could be people who go on really restrictive, really stripped down diets, and for 1 to 3 years they think, oh, I just feel so amazing, this is the best thing I've ever done, everyone needs to do it, everyone needs to be converted because I've seen the light, I found the way to the promised land, and everyone just needs to do this because it's so amazing. And what happens is that box starts out this small, and then it gets smaller, and then it gets smaller, and then it gets smaller, and it gets smaller. And over time, the diet or the belief system gets more and more restrictive. People say this stuff all the time. Oh, I'm just so like clean and pure now. I can't even like touch that anymore. It's just too heavy, or it's too toxic. And then that's kind of the mental trip that's going on. But physically, the body is very likely in a state of stress and depletion. And people are thinking, oh, I'm so blissed out, I feel so good, I have so much energy. Well, what that usually is stress and stress hormones and depletion of the kidney energy. And people think, oh, I sleep way less, I just don't really need to sleep anymore, I don't need to eat as much. And then women sometimes say, oh, well, I just don't really have a period anymore. And some guys are like, well, you know, I just don't really have the urge to really work out and be very active anymore. I just kind of want to be chill and more relaxed. Usually what that's indicating, again, is the same thing, depletion. Or people will say, oh, I'm going to do this extreme exercise program. I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week. I'm going to run 20 miles a day. I'm going to do all this extreme training. And really what's happening is this high is being created. You're getting stress hormones. You're getting anandamide. You're getting the runner's high. You're getting all of those things when you're saying, oh, I feel so good. But what's underlying it? Stress. The stress response going crazy. And if you study the symptoms and the symptomology of what it looks like to start to really go into adrenal fatigue and the things that happen and the things that change, and then compare them side by side to a lot of the things people say, you might be surprised to see a lot of similarities, if not many identical traits. So what is really going on here? It's not that any of these diets or lifestyles or exercises or whatever things in and of themselves are bad or evil or need to be eliminated. The problem is that everything is coming from the mind. It's not coming from the body. It's basically the mind making the body do a bunch of stuff. It's basically the mind just throwing the body at something and saying, you have to do this. We have to be better. We have to be good. We have to be healthy because all of these things are wrong. And if we just do all of this stuff, then all of those things might go away and then we might get the things that we want. Which really comes from, I didn't really plan this out too well with the whiteboard, but maybe you can see it. Comes from essentially the mind being at odds with the body. So if we ask ourselves, well, if the mind is at odds with the body, what might be the result? Harmony or disharmony? Stress or depletion? It's a good question to ask. And really what this comes from is our conditioning and our desensitization to the stress response, and then the do to get mindset, which basically cuts us off or makes us leak a lot of energy from our real supportive centers, or our Ming Men and Dantian in the Chinese medicine perspective. And in medicine, in herbology, in consumption of substances, there's something which is called dose tolerance and desensitization, which basically means let's say you do this thing and you get this response. Well, if you keep doing the thing and getting that response, eventually this response becomes not really good enough because you have dose tolerance, because you're desensitized to it. So you have to go to the next level to feel the next level of something, so you actually feel like something is happening. And that is a very dangerous and slippery slope, especially in the context of really extreme imbalanced lifestyles and exercises. And you see this in a dietary thing many times. People start out and say, oh, I'm going to start eating healthier. Oh, now I'm going to start eating only this food. Then I'm only going to eat this food. Then I'm only going to eat this food in this way, in this form, from this place. And then I'm only going to eat this food. And then you know what? I don't really want any of this kind of stuff. I think I'm just going to like not eat for a while. And the mind is saying all of this stuff and reading things and listening to people and saying, oh, this is the great thing. This is the thing I have to do. Meanwhile, not being present to anything that is actually happening in the body, or misinterpreting or sort of distorting clear and distinct messages from the body. Clear examples of this is women that I know personally, women that I have consulted with and seen in this community, where they think they're doing this extremely healthy diet. They think they're doing this extremely healthy thing because that's what the book says, and that's what everyone said, and everyone else is doing X, Y, or Z. But you watch them, and then what starts to happen is they don't really look like a woman anymore. All of their facial features start to get really thin and peeled back, which of course you're like, oh my God, I'm losing weight, it's amazing. But then the second thing that happens is their breasts start to go away. Their whole body just starts to go into like this straight sort of ambiguously non-feminine sort of thing, which is indicating that hormones are being depleted, fertility is going down, and the actual root life force energy of the body is not really being nourished and is actually being tapped and depleted. Similar process happens with men, where men start to really go into this kind of vague, ambiguous, not really sure if you're a man or woman kind of state, which is really common with a lot of hippie guys who like want to grow really long hair, wear really free-flowing clothes. And then what happens is they start to kind of look like women because, you know, they don't really have the distinguishing characteristics. Then the jawline, the cheekbones, the pectorals, and the shoulders, and all the things which signal to the rest of the species that yes, you are a man. So these are just really two examples. We could look at people who, you know, go to the gym and get really addicted to fitness and weightlifting. Sure, on the outside, people say, wow, they got a six-pack, they got all these muscles, they can do all this stuff. And that happens for a little while, but inside, what's the health of the organs? What's the health of the nervous system? What is the health of the psyche? What is the ability to diminish and release stress? And honestly, we could go on and on forever with examples like this. And I can speak from a lot of personal experience too, because I've learned a lot of this stuff the hard way. Had to learn a lot of it through my own experience, through getting really invested in things, doing them, and then coming out on the other end saying like, wow, let me get present to what actually happened. Now, to easily explain and illustrate what we're talking about, we can use this amazing chart up here, which on one hand we have our yin energy, which you can see it's going down. But then on the other hand, you can see this energy coming up, which we can call heat or depletion or really negative conditions in the body. Now, you'll notice on this wave for a while, the yin is really being depleted, but the heat is not really showing up. So this is what we're talking about. This is like 1 to 3 years, give or take, on a person's constitution. And they're riding this wave thinking, this is amazing, I feel so good. And then all of a sudden, boom, that point happens where, oh wait, now the heat, now the depletion is actually starting to manifest and show. And that's the thing, is these things don't always happen overnight in the body. depending on how sensitive we are, obviously. But if you're really invested in all of this stuff, odds are we're not going to be very sensitive to what's actually happening in the organs. So what this means is that we can get away with things for a while and think that it's cool and think that it's okay, yet eventually the price will be paid. Whether that is a job that we hate, or a lifestyle that is not appropriate for us, or an extreme diet, or an exercise program, or a belief system, or whatever. It could be so many different things, because remember, the thing is not the problem. The problem is this mindset of making the mind beat up the body. This idea of being out of touch with the body awareness through basically numbing, denial, conditioning, and tolerance. And getting numb to our whole stress response by being conditioned to the whole do to get mindset, which effectively cuts us off from who and what we really are. It effectively cuts us off from the nourishment and energy that the universe is trying to give us all the time. Because if our mind and our body are constantly at odds, what might be the result? Something to think about, something to question. And that's why this topic, this whole conversation, is really important to look at. It's really important to look at for long-term health, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever adverb you want to put on after that. So hopefully this video has been helpful, and this topic is sparking some questions in your head and perhaps getting you to a place to where your awareness can shift to the back of your brain so you can actually be present and take a good look at what is actually happening here and now in the physical world in a dynamic, living way. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, post them below, and I will talk to you soon.